Now, if you're working in Toon Boom Harmony Premium, adding effects to Camper's Hand is done a little bit differently. For example, if we decide to go to add a layer, we do not see any effects drop here. Now, in order to do this, we're going to have to go through the node view. Okay, so I'm in my default setup here, and I can come over here right next to color and select the node view. I'm going to slide this over a bit so we can see what's going on. Now, this may look a little bit confusing, and trust me, even for me, it's just like a little overwhelming. But we're going to do a few things and organize this, and then we're going to add a glow to Camper's Hand, and the rest of it, we're going to be still handling it on the timeline. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is clean up this area. In order to do that, I'm going to come up here, right in this little area right next to the top, and I'll simply right click and I'll select Node View. And what that's going to do is going to give me a bunch of tools here which are going to help me set up some things. So I'm going to click and drag to select all of the nodes. Now, if you see, as soon as I selected all that, it selected each of the layers. Now, I want to see what's going on here. So I'll come up here and I'll select Order Node View Up. I'll just click this once. And I'm going to leave these at the default. Just overlap, spacing, and this is basically talking about how it's going to spread everything out. So I'll go ahead and click OK. And now you can see this has gotten much larger and a lot more organized. I'm going to hold on my space bar so we can move everything down. And so what we're looking at here is all of the layers here and pretty much Camper, but this is what it looks like in the node view. All right. So what I want to do now is I'm going to come over to my timeline, and I'm going to the robot hand. So I'll simply select that, and I'll come over here to my node view and see if I can locate where that is. And here we are. I'm just going to zoom in. So here is our robot hand. All right. Now the next thing I want to do, in my timeline, I want to right click on the robot hand layer, and I want to clone the selected layer, drawings and timing. All right. So I'm going to organize this a little more. In my node view, so the robot hand is separate from the original. And I can even come here. I'm going to change the name and call this Glow. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in the effect. So to do this, I'm going to need to pull it from my node library. Now, I have my node library right next to my timeline, but if you don't see your node library at all, I'm just going to go ahead and delete this for a moment. Come over and click this little X. So to add the node library next to my timeline, I'll simply go to this plus sign here, and I'll come down and select Node Library. Now, to find Glow, I'll simply use this little search field and type in Glow. And here is Glow, so I'll just simply click and drag this right up to my node view. Okay, I'm going to move everything up just a bit so I can see what's going on. And what I'll need to do is make sure that the glow is parented right under the hand glow. So to do that, I'm going to hold down my Option key, Alt on PC, and then click and drag my glow node. And if you note, as soon as I get close to those bands, it just snaps right on there, and that's what we want. Okay? And all of that's going into the composite. All right, now that I have that set up, I'm going to go back to my timeline, and I'll come down here, and I see that I have the cloned layer for the glow, as well as we have the glow. Now, if you're following along in the earlier lesson where we did the effects in Essentials and Advanced, the reason that we did a clone is because if we were just to add the glow, it would take over and overwrite the drawing. So basically, to have the hand have a glow, we have to have the hand drawing layer as well as its clone layer that handles the glow. So what I want to do now is start controlling this. I'll simply double click on my glow layer. And I'm going to, change the color. So I'll click right here at the base and find a nice, vibrant purple color. And then I'm also going to change the radius. Just type in about 10. And I'll close. Now, the reason we don't see this is because we're not in the render view. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in to the hand here just a bit. And I want to go to the render view just by clicking this little blue flower here right at the base of our camera view. And we now see the glow that's there. So we can make it a little more intense. I'm going to double click and alter part of the glow here. So instead of it just being an intensity of 1, I'm going to simply type in 5. And we can see that we now have that inner highlight. Now, of course, the same way that we worked with this in the earlier versions, we can change this along the timeline. So if I go ahead and close this, and I'm going to turn on my animate button. And let's go ahead and insert a keyframe. What I want to do is go ahead and close off that arm there. And I'll insert a keyframe. Simply press F6. And I'll go, let's say, 5 frames later. And we'll insert another keyframe, F6. And I'll open up our layer. And I'll double click on glow. And go down to intensity. And right on the right side, I'm going to click on the icon for the Bezier editor. We'll bring this back down to 0. All right, and as you can see, we really can't see anything because we don't have any color cards right now. So go ahead and click close. And just to see the full effect here, I'm going to go ahead and collapse this. And we'll add in a color card. And I'm going to change the color here to a nice gray, just so we can see what's going on. And we'll close. So we go to where we had the glow the largest, and I'm just going to use my keyboard shortcut using the less than and greater than, and I'll go to the next frame and next frame, and you can see how that changes over time. So with respect to adding different types of effects when you're working in Harmony Premium, you'll need to set everything up in the node view. And you'll add those effects from the node library. Now, this might seem a little more tedious, but you have a lot more control over the different effects you can use. Once they're set up in the node view, you can still control them from the timeline.